Shoot! 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 Go home! Go! Give me a minute. Shoot! Shoot! Go home! We need to start a program, okay? Anyway, hello boys and girls, and welcome back to another high-touch, high-tech lesson where we're gonna be talking about the wasp. He could stay because today is about Winsom wasp, and we're gonna learn about these cool insects. The wasp! Now, before we even get started, let's make sure to grab these things. Grab the bag that has the 3 pieces of foam inside of it. There's also some tissue paper, a pencil, pipe cleaner, and much more inside of it. That's the bag to grab. And then these are not included that we definitely need, which are a pair of scissors and also the bag of glue that we used from not too long ago, a previous program, and we hope that you guys kept this around so that we can use it for today's program. But in case you guys don't have that anymore, you could just use any sort of glue to add on to what we're about to do. In any case, that is all that we need. Still here, and let's get started. So, do you know the different? Oh, B is here as well. Do you know the difference between the wasp and the bee? Well, yeah, if you look at them, they look pretty similar, but there's a lot that is different between them. This here is the wasp, and that there is the bee. So what's the difference? Great question, Mega Manoa. Well, if you take a look at them, the wasp, he has a little to no hair, whereas when you look at the bee, he is very fuzzy wuzzy. Yes. And if you look at the wasp, they have a very pointy abdomen, whereas with the bee, it's more rounded, and they both help us out. Well, the way that the wasp helps us out is that they help us by eating the bugs and the insects that are trying to eat our crops, the pests. Why do they do that? I don't know, but it's good that we have the wasps to help us to eat those insects, whereas with the bees, they help us by pollinating the plants. So good. Thank you very much. With the wasps, you gotta be a little bit more careful because not only do they eat those insects, they also eat human food. Oh! Yeah, maybe the last time you guys went out on a picnic, a wasp might have come around and nibbled on your food, right? So you gotta be very careful with them. Whereas with the bees, they are much more gentle in nature and they rarely sting. Now, speaking about stinging, the wasps are very aggressive. They're ready to sting. And guess what? They can sting multiple times. Da, 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 da. So you got to be very careful with them. But with the bees, again, like I said, it's rare that they sting. They just sting only one time, one and done. And then they die. Poor little Timmy. Yeah, so here are some differences between them. Even when you look closely at both of them, the way that they fly is a lot different. With the wasp, they fly with their legs hanging down like this. Just, I'm a little bit lazy today. But with the bees, they kind of hide their legs. And even another thing that's different between both of them is the way that they build their homes, their nests. With the bees, they make their nests out of a waxy substance that they make themselves. Whereas with the wasp, they make their nests out of chewed up wood fibers that are paper-like. And when they build these nests, they make huge colonies. Up to tens of thousands of these wasps can live in these nests, but they only have one queen. And of course, there are male wasps and female wasps. The male ones, we call them drones, and they don't have stingers. Whereas with the female, they do have stingers. Why? It's because they're usually the workers and the protectors of the nest and of the queen. So that's why they have to have those stingers. And there are up to about 75,000 species of wasps, but not all of them have stingers. And we're gonna focus on one specific type of wasp that we call the yellow jacket. Do you know what we call it the yellow jacket? It's because he puts on a yellow jacket. No, he doesn't put on a yellow jacket. The great way of finding out if it's a yellow jacket is it usually has its face and head has black and yellow on it. But most of all, if you look at the abdomen, you'll see that there are black and yellow stripes. That's how you could tell that it's a yellow jacket. And these insects are very, very social. You know why? Because they have to live in a nest or a colony of up to 4,000 workers. That's a lot of talking. Too much talking. And they're most active at late summer and early autumn because that's when the colony is at its peak. And these yellow jackets and wasps are just like any other insects. They have the same body parts. They have a head, thorax, abdomen, right? 3 body parts. And then there are also 6 legs, just like every other insect. They also have antennas. They got compound eyes. They even have mandibles. But most of all, they have that venomous stinger. But of course, yes, they fly. They got wings too, right? So now that we've talked way too much about these wasps, let's build a yellow jacket. To make the wasp, these are what you need. Pair of scissors and the glue. So remember, this glue is the one that we used from a previous program. Hopefully you guys kept the bag. If you didn't, just use any sort of glue. And this is kind of more optional, and you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. But from inside of your bag, you'll find 2 smaller yellow pipe cleaners, then 3 large yellow pipe cleaners. And then along with that, you got 2 little googly eyes, 2 orange pipe cleaners, and then there should be 7 black pipe cleaners. There's one that's longer than the other 6, and you can kind of tell the difference between that one. Okay, but also 3 glue dots from inside of the bag, and also there are 3 pieces of foam, 1 short one, 1 long one, and 1 very thin and long one, and the wings, the wax paper wings. So to build our wasp, I like to start off with the abdomen. And the abdomen is the biggest part of the body, which would be the tallest foam that we have here. Okay, so you could see that there are obviously 2 holes on both ends, but then there's one side that's kind of has little parts cut on the edges here. Now what we're going to do here is this is going to be the back of the abdomen where the stinger is. So we're going to put on the stinger first. So of all of the black pipe cleaner, find the one that's a bit taller than the rest. This is going to be our stinger. And we're going to poke this through on the back part of here all the way to the other side and tie it. But to do that, first I like to squeeze it together so it kind of closes it. It looks like a little mouth, right? Just take that, close it, and push this in from the inside. And when I poke it in, I don't try to poke it in by holding it from the edge because that's going to bend for sure. So hold it close to where you're about to poke in. Poke it in and keep on going. Keep on going until it comes out the other side. See that? Then keep the mouth of the foam closed and just bend these inward, right? So towards each other. And once they're getting close to each other, then you want to have them touch and kind of make an X. Do you see that little X? Then from those 2 tips, then you just want to twist it in a circle, okay, until it becomes a bit more pointy, like a stinger. Look at that, it's got a stinger. All right, then next is we want to have the stripes, the yellow stripes. That's why it's black and yellow like the yellow jacket, come on, right? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wrap it around the abdomen and then try to have them meet together in the middle, and then the same thing like how we did before, just try to twist them. Now, if you're having a little bit of a hard time, just squeeze the abdomen a little bit so it kind of gets closer together. And if you're still having a hard time, you could ask mom or dad to help you out. But once they're closer together, then you could just twist it and they should hold each other nice and well, like that. There's one, we're gonna do another one right next to that. So I'm gonna put this right there, wrap it around. Remember, if they're not touching, then you could squeeze the abdomen a little bit more and tie it like that. Okay, so here we go. Just gonna tie that, and there we go. That one's good. And one last one. Same thing. Put it in front of that one there and wrap it around. Once you do that, if it's still not touching, squeeze the abdomen a little bit more and tie it and tie it and tie it. And then you could adjust it here and there to make it a bit more even if you want to. See, we got the black and yellow legs just like our yellow jacket. And now that we've finished the abdomen, we're gonna attach it to the rest of the body. So we got the abdomen, then we have the thorax, that's the longer, thinner one. And this goes right inside of the hole. Obviously it doesn't go in, so you gotta do it like last time. Squeeze the tip so that it will fit right inside of there and just wiggle it until it goes inside of there. Okay, as much as you can. And once you do that, then we're going to do the same thing with the head. So we got the abdomen, the thorax, and now the head. Just pinch the tip so it could fit into the hole. Okay, and once it's in, then you're good. Okay, almost there. So remember, the yellow jacket and the wasps are like all other insects. They have 6 legs. So this is where we're gonna take the rest of the 6 black pipe cleaners and put them on the thorax. Okay, so I like to put 3 on one side and 3 on the other. So let's do that together. So I'm gonna pick 3. Just take it, same thing as before. Hold it close to where you're about to poke in and poke it in. There's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3. And then same thing on the other side with the other 3. 1, and a 2, and a 3. Okay, so now we got the legs, and if you want to, you could even bend these legs if you want. I'm just gonna keep them as is. Now we're gonna focus on the head. First, I'm gonna do the antenna. Okay, the antennas. So I'm gonna use the orange one for the antennas. Just put them right on the very top. 1 over here and 1 over there. And if you want to, you can bend them, right? Just bend them a little bit. Have one facing one way, one facing the other way. See, cute little antennas. Next, we're gonna be putting on the mandibles, which are the 2 little things that help them to eat, right? And pick up other things. So the mandibles go right where you believe the mouth would be, right where it looks like the mouth would be. We're gonna use the yellow pipe cleaners here and poke them in. But remember, the mandibles kind of curve in like this, right? And so we're just gonna bend the edge so that they curve inward to make some mandibles. So now we've got the mandibles. They are curved in like this, just like the real mandibles, which help them to pick up things and also to eat, right? And chomp on things. And now what we're gonna do is we are going to put on the googly eyes and the wings, and this is where the glue dots come in and help us out. So let's put this on. And the way that this works is there is a plastic part and a paper part. And you just peel those off and just be sure you don't throw away the one that has the little glue dot. You see that little glue dot there? So we just want to put this where the eyes are going to be. Okay, so you just got to push it onto there. Now sometimes this doesn't always stick onto our foam. So what you could do is just start peeling it off slowly. And when you peel it off slowly, it should stay onto there. But if it starts to come off and stick onto the plastic, I like to use just my fingers to kind of hold it where it is so that it doesn't move. If it doesn't work the first time, try it the second time. And just make sure you kind of hold that glue there. And see? Ta-da! And once you do that, then go ahead and take your googly eye, put it onto there. And we want to do the same thing with our second eye. And if you're having a hard time with this glue dot, then that's why we have this optional part of using the glue, okay? But let's keep on using our glue dot here. And same thing, right? Take the glue dot, put it right on top of where you think the eye is gonna be, push it in nice and well, and then start peeling it off very slowly. But you could use your fingers to hold the glue there because it wants to stick to the plastic, which we don't want. We want it to stick to the foam instead. And ta-da! And take your googly eye, put it right on top of there. Then we got some eyes, pretty good. Then we got one last thing, which is the wing, okay? And now for the wings, You can either put it on the thorax. They actually do go on the thorax with the real yellow jackets and the wasp. But if it doesn't fit there, then you could put it on the back of the head just for the sake of, it fitting onto here. By the looks of it, it looks like mine's gonna fit on my thorax, which is awesome. So we're gonna take the last blue dot and peel that off. Remember, make sure you got the one that has the glue dot. And just put it on where you think it's gonna be. Push it onto there, and then peel it off slowly, just like how we did last time. If it sticks to the plastic, try to hold the glue where it is. And take your wing and put it on, and ta-da! We got our yellow jacket. Why is it a yellow jacket? Do you remember how we were able to tell? Look at the abdomen. What color is this supposed to be? Black and yellow. Black and yellow stripes. And sometimes it's also on their head. But just like all other insects, they have 3 body parts: head, thorax, abdomen, and then also they have the 6 legs, the antennas, mandibles, and the wings. And there is your cute little yellow jacket. So we're gonna learn a lot about these wasps already, but now let's take a close look at their home, at their nest. Now these wasps, they're very communal insects who build these nests so that they can breed more little tiny young wasps who can grow to become adult wasps. So how do they make this? What's the process of making these colonies and these nests? Well, first, the queen needs to pick a location. So he scouts it out. Sometimes they find a tree branch. They're like, oh, right over there. Or sometimes under your roof, or even inside a garage. Yeah, I don't know why they pick those locations, but once they pick it, then she sends out the worker wasps, which are always female. So what do? They try to find anything with a wooden substance in it, like sometimes our fences are made out of wood. So you know what they do? Chew up little pieces of that, or from a branch, or even from cardboard, anything that has wooden substance to it. Okay, so they take it, they chew it. And what do after that? They take some of that chewed up stuff and add it with some water and their saliva to make this soft, sticky paper pulp. Pretty weird, right? And you know what they do with that stuff? They pick it up and take it to the construction site, usually with their legs and their mandibles, and they carry it and they pour it out onto the nest, onto the foundation, so that they can start building a foundation, and eventually it basically dries up and makes a firm paper foundation that they build the rest of the nest in. Mega Manoa, watch out! You gotta get out of there. Nah, I'm fine. Oh, okay. I'm guessing. Are you gonna take over from here or something? I got this. Right. You can go. You can leave. Goodbye. So yeah, you can see I'm inside of the wasp nest now. You can see that the wasp nest has these 6-sided shapes. We call it hexagonal shapes. Now what they're for is so that the queen wasp can put her eggs inside and they can hatch and grow to become beautiful little wasps later. But how do they make it into a perfect 6-sided shape like this? Well, they use their antenna. Look at this guy. They use their antennas to measure it out so that it's exactly in this hexagonal shape. Pretty cool home, right? Pretty cool nest. And guess what? Well, sad news I want to tell you about these wasps is they don't last that long. They don't usually pass the cold winter weather. All of the workers, even the males, they die off eventually. But the queen does stay alive. But as you can see around here, we've got ourselves a really nicely built nest. And so you know what? Together, you and I, we're gonna build a wasp nest. Here we go. So let's make our nest. These are the parts that we're gonna be needing. We need the bag of clay, all of the tissues that you have there, And this is one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning, the paper plate that was inside of your white envelope where everything, all the programs came in when we shipped it to you. Make sure to grab that one. And then there should be a pencil, a hexagonal pencil that was already inside of the bag. And what wasn't included was the pair of scissors. This is going to be optional. I'll tell you why it is that we might need that. So first thing is we need to lay the foundation of our nest. And so we're going to take out the clay. If your clay is really stuck inside, a good way to take it out is just make sure it's open and push the clay from the inside out, okay? Because sometimes it gets stuck. But if you can reach inside and just grab it, that's good too, okay? But since I could reach it, grab it, that's how you do it. Then just put it right in the center of your plate. You want to just kind of flatten it down. So just take your hand, the palm of your hand, and push it down. That's pretty good. I could do a little bit more. You don't need to do too flat because we need enough distance so that we can poke in these tissues to make them 6-sided shapes, just like a real wasp nest, right? So here we got a real wasp nest, and you can see how perfectly aligned they are, and they're all with 6-sided shapes. We call that hexagonal. And that's why we're using this pencil, because if you take a look at it, it also has 6 sides on it, which makes the shape of the hexagons, just like how we have right here, right? And just like the real nest, there are a whole bunch of paper-like substances all around. That's what they made it out of, the wood substance from what they chewed up. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use this paper-like substance in 6-sided shapes to make our wasp nest. So how do we do this? Well, first, take any tissue that you have, and you wanna put the pencil right in the middle of that. Okay, so put it in the middle of that, and then try to wrap the paper around the pencil. Okay, so use your fingers to wrap it around and as tight to the pencil as you can. So what I do is I kind of rotate the pencil and I try to push down on all sides to make sure that it's, you know, as close to the pencil as possible. And then I hold it. I hold it there with my fingers, and then I poke it into the clay a little bit in. And then if you take out the pencil, it should stick. As a 6-sided shape, you look from the top, it's got a hexagonal shape on it. So we want to do that with all of these, okay? So again, find the middle, wrap it around, and then use both hands to kind of push it against the pencil as tightly and as close to the pencil as you can. You can take your time with this. And then once you get it pretty close, then you could hold it, and then put it right next to that previous piece of tissue. Once you push it in, then you got another one. So we're just gonna keep on doing this. Let me just do a few more so that you guys know how to do this. Okay, so we got one, right? Put it right in the middle, whether it's a square or a rectangle, as in the middle as you can. And then wrap it around again. And do the same thing. Try to have the tissue as close to the pencil as possible. Once you're good, keep it there and slowly push it into the clay. You can push it a little bit more, and once you feel it's good, then you could take it out. And we're gonna do that with all the rest of these. But for the sake of time, I already made one previously, so eventually what's gonna happen is it's going to look like something like this with all the tissue all over. But these are a whole bunch of hexagonal shaped tissue paper, just like the real nest, right? We got a whole bunch of hexagonal little slots where all the little baby eggs are gonna be in and the wasps are gonna grow in, right? And it's the same thing here. We got the paper filament, the paper tissues that make up our wasp nest. Now, the optional part with this scissor is, well, as you can see, not any one of them stick out too far. So this is totally optional with you, is you could kind of trim the tops of these just to kind of make them a little bit more uniform, because sometimes one sticks out a little bit more than the other. So you could just take it, just kind of snip off the top so it's a little bit more uniform. And then eventually when you're done, don't touch this because the clay's not dry yet. But once it's dry, it's gonna keep everything on and it's gonna be there forever. And make sure that it's all nice and trimmed on the top. You can even bring back, you know, the yellow jacket, and you got a cool little nest for the yellow jacket, right? He eats the wood piece. And then, you know, he spits it out, adds some water on there, mixes it together, and, you know, starts building a nest and a cute little yellow jacket. Whoa. Oh. All right, boys, girls, that's it about these wasps. I hope you had a lot of fun. I'm kind of not really. But until next time, I'll see you. I'll see you at home.